Hello class, today we will be discussing one of the most important topic in this chapter, that is excretory system. One of the most important topic from your board point of view, that is formation of urine. For the formation of urine, four steps the formation of urine can be summarized into four steps. Number one is ultrafiltration. Number two is selective reabsorption, or it is also referred to as tubular reabsorption. Number three, tubular secretion, and number four, excretion. We will be discussing in detail about each one of these steps separately. First step of urine formation is ultrafiltration. Where does this ultrafiltration takes place? As you can see, what is this figure referring to? This figure is referring to your Malpighian body. You have Bowman's capsule and you have glomerulus. So your ultrafiltration takes place in Bowman's capsule. So what happens in this process? If you look at the name itself, it suggests that certain filtration is going to take place here, right? So how does this filtration takes place? As we know, your afferent arteriole brings the impure blood to the Bowman's capsule. Here, impure blood does not imply that blood consists of carbon dioxide. Here, impure blood implies that blood consists of many unwanted materials. So, afferent arterioles brings the blood to the Bowman's capsule. After the afferent arteriole enters the Bowman's capsule, this afferent arterioles divides into a network of capillaries called glomerulus, and the arteriole is exiting out of this Bowman's capsule is referred to as efferent arteriole. Now, if you look at the diameter of afferent arteriole and efferent arteriole, your afferent arteriole has larger diameter as compared to your efferent arteriole. That is why the blood flowing through this glomerulus has high hydrostatic pressure. So what happens is, this glomerulus and your Bowman's capsule are separated with each other only through a one-celled thick endothelium cell in case of glomerulus and epithelium cell in case of Bowman's capsule. So when the blood passes through this glomerulus, substances which are smaller in size than that of a pores present in the glomerulus moves towards your renal tubule. So what kind of substances moves towards your renal tubule? Substances such as urea, glucose, amino acid, some of the vitamins, inorganic salt. Except the blood corpuscles, most of the substances enters your renal tubule, or you can say the proximal convoluted tubule. But as you can see that in the substance which has entered the proximal convoluted tubule, there are certain substances which are needed by our body, such as glucose, some of the inorganic salts, vitamins. So they have to be reabsorbed back to the blood, or else that gonna be harmful for our body. So next step is your selective reabsorption, where the reabsorption of the essential materials by the blood takes place. As we know that after the efferent arteriole moves out of the Bowman's capsule, after extending for a short distance, it it again forms a second capillary system, right? It again forms a second capillary system about which we have already discussed in our previous class. I hope you are able to link these two things. So that secondary capillary system or peritubular system helps in reabsorption of the essential materials back to the blood. So understood ultrafiltration? Now next we will be discussing about your reabsorption, selective reabsorption. So your ultrafiltration takes place in your Bowman's capsule. So your selective reabsorption will be taking place in other parts of the nephron. Most probably maximum reabsorption takes place in your proximal convoluted tubule. Next step of urine formation is referred to as selective reabsorption or tubular reabsorption. Before going through this topic, let us be familiar with one of the terminology referred to as nephric filtrate or glomerular filtrate. What is nephric filtrate or glomerular filtrate? During ultrafiltration process, the liquid which has all the filtrate part which has moved from glomerulus to the Bowman's capsule is referred to as nephric filtrate or glomerular filtrate. As I told you that in your glomerular filtrate you have many substances which are essential for your body. So the reabsorption of these substances are very essential. So the process of reabsorption of this essential substance back to the blood capillaries or back to the blood is referred to as your selective reabsorption. Your selective reabsorption takes place in two parts of your renal tubule. One, proximal convoluted tubule, or also referred to as PCT. Here the maximum amount of reabsorption takes place. Approximately all the glucose, all the amino acid and some of the organic salts are reabsorbed from the nephric filter to the blood capillaries or back to the blood in this particular renal tubule, that is PCT. Another one, Henle's loop. Here also the reabsorption processes takes place. Basically water is reabsorbed back to the blood from Henle's loop, and some of the sodium chloride are absorbed back to the blood from ascending limb of. If your blood contains more amount of water, then less reabsorption of the water takes place. But if your blood contains less amount of water, then more amount of water is reabsorbed back from the Henle's loop. This is how kidney also helps in osmoregulation. So next we will be discussing about the third stage of urine formation, and that is tubular secretion. Tubular secretion. So what happens is, in our blood there are still certain substances, toxic substances such as creatinine or more amount of potassium, which if it remains in the blood will have a little effect in our body. So this particular substances do not move out of the blood by the process of osmosis. So here you have to utilize energy in order to remove these substances from your blood to the renal tubule. So this process is referred to as tubular secretion. Here you are utilizing energy in order to move the substances such as potassium, creatinine from blood, from your blood capillaries to the renal tubule. So this is referred to as tubular secretion. This takes place in your distal convoluted tubule. Generally in the other portion of the renal tubule such as PCT, Henle loop, here the reabsorption process was taking place and no expenditure of energy was taken place in order to reabsorb the things back to the blood capillaries. But in case of tubular secretion, you have to utilize energy in order to move the substances from blood capillaries to the renal tubule. So next and the final step of urine formation is excretion. After the nephric filtrate has moved to the distal convoluted tubule where the tubular secretion has taken place, then your filtrate will be now referred to as a urine, and this urine is poured on to the collecting duct. From collecting duct it is linked to the pelvis. Pelvis is linked to the ureter. Ureter is linked to your urinary bladder. Then through urethra it is ejected out of our body. So from your Bowman's capsule till distal convoluted tubule, the fluid present inside can be referred to as a nephric filtrate. After this nephric filtrate has been poured to the collecting duct, now it will be referred to as a urine. So this is how the urine is formed in our body.